A supermarket produce aisle is a record of who has power and who does not. Every bin of fruit and stack of greens is a data point in a struggle over land and labor that has shaped civilizations for centuries. These crops are defined by a specific biological vulnerability. They rot quickly, they grow only in certain seasons, and they require human hands. You cannot delay a peach harvest, and you cannot easily mechanize the picking of a tomato without destroying it. These physical constraints bind three groups together. You have the consumer who must eat, the capital that owns the soil, and the labor required for the harvest. Because these crops are perishable and demand intense human effort, whoever controls the ground and the timing of the harvest holds immediate leverage over the lives of the workers and the survival of the buyers. In 1773, the Boston Tea Party turned a dispute over a consumable leaf into a revolution. It proved that the items we put in our bodies every day are the most effective sparks for massive societal change. Colonists discovered that consumption was a weapon. By boycotting British tea and switching to homespun cloth, they turned the private act of shopping into a public declaration of independence. After the Revolution, the struggle over consumables moved south and west, becoming the primary engine of American agriculture. The history of the field shows a recurring pattern. This tension between those who own the land and those who work it is most often resolved through the exercise of force, or the leverage of collective organizing. Force is the method capital uses to own or destroy the laborer. The Atlantic slave trade was built to feed global demand for sugar and cotton. In 1793, the cotton gin mechanized the cleaning of fiber, but that efficiency multiplied the demand for hands to pick the crop. This single machine drove the forced migration of 1 million enslaved people to the Deep South. In the Carolina Lowcountry, English planters knew rice sold for a profit, but they had no idea how to grow it in tidal swamps. They trafficked West Africans specifically for their expertise in dike and sluice construction, stealing their agronomic engineering skills along with their freedom. By 1932, the demand for coffee land in El Salvador led the ruling elite to seize indigenous communal grounds for private plantations. When the peasants rose up to reclaim their fields, the state responded with the military, killing an estimated 10,000 to 30,000 people in a massacre known as La Matanza. Modern force often operates through trade policy. In 1994, NAFTA opened Mexican markets to heavily subsidized U.S. corn. U.S. corn entered Mexico at prices below the cost of production, bankrupting millions of campesinos. Dispossessed of their land and their livelihoods, these farmers were forced to migrate north in search of wages. Whether through chattel slavery, or through massacres or trade agreements, force serves as the fast, brutal path to ensuring cheap hands are always available to work the soil. Organizing is the mechanism workers use to rebalance the scales from below. It's a response to the physical toll of the fields, like the vineyards where laborers were forced to use the short-handled hoe, a tool that permanently crippled the backs of anyone who used it. In September 1965, the Delano grape strike began when Filipino workers under Larry Atiliong walked out of the vineyards. They were aging bachelors who had spent their lives in labor camps, and they chose to stop bending. To prevent growers from using Mexican workers as strikebreakers, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta brought their own members into the fight. They merged their unions into a single front that refused to be split by race. The workers recognized they couldn't outlast capital in the vineyard rows. Instead, they took the fight to the grocery store. They launched a national boycott of table grapes. By marching 300 miles across California and recruiting millions of shoppers to walk past the produce, they proved that consumer choice can break the will of a multi-million-dollar industry. Organizing is slow and fragile, but it remains the only method in the history of agriculture to shift power without the use of a gun. Today, this struggle is playing out in courtrooms and constitutional amendments. In 2025, Mexico amended its constitution to ban the cultivation of genetically modified U.S. corn. It was a move to protect the sovereignty of native seeds and the indigenous farmers who have been their stewards for 9,000 years. The economics of the produce aisle are unyielding. Consumers want cheap food, and growers operate on razor-thin margins against fierce global competition. But the financial squeeze on one end of the chain creates pressure on the other. Cheap food frequently requires cheap, coerced labor somewhere upstream to absorb the cost. This brings us to the third point. Between the capital that owns the land and the labor that works it, the consumer is the deciding force. Every purchase is a choice between funding the exercise of force or honoring the work of organizing. The cost of your food is the most recurring vote you will ever cast.